Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're working with Azure, you know things change fast. Really fast.
Constantly.
So today we're going to focus in, really zero in on the Azure service updates from just this past week. That's July 14th to the 18th, 2025.
Yep.
Our goal here is simple. Cut through the noise and highlight the changes that actually matter for you, our technical audience, so you can quickly get what's new and relevant.
Exactly, because it's not just what changed, right? It's understanding why it matters for, your architecture, day-to-day operations.
And what you might need to actually do about it.
Precisely. We want to give you those concrete insights without overwhelming you, just the actionable stuff.
All right, let's dive in then. A really big theme this week, it seems, was container orchestration and serverless. Lots of updates around AKS and Azure Functions.
Definitely. Yeah, quite a few significant moves there. These services are, well, they're pretty foundational for modern apps.
So what stood out for AKS management?
Okay, first up, and this is generally available now, is virtual machines node pools support in AKS.
Virtual machine node pools. Okay, what's the significance there?
Well, it's a pretty foundational shift, actually. It means AKS itself gets direct control over provisioning and bootstrapping the VM nodes in your cluster.
So Azure's taking on more of the underlying work.
Exactly. It handles the VM setup, the bootstrapping. This should lead to, more consistency, maybe faster scaling, better integration down the line, less VM plumbing for you to worry about.
Okay, that sounds like a good step towards a more managed feel. Does that connect to efficiency?
Directly, yeah. Also, generally available now is node auto-provisioning support in AKS, NAP, they call it.
NAP, okay.
This hits those common pain points like, setting up too many nodes just in case or having nodes sitting idle.
Right, the cost factor.
Yeah, and just the operational headache of managing all those pre-configured pools. NAP aims to dynamically match compute to your actual needs, making things hopefully more efficient and cost-effective automatically.
Efficiency cost.
Yeah.
Always good. What about managing extensions within AKS? Security implications there too, I imagine.
For sure, and there's a key update here, also GA. The Cluster Extension Manager has moved to the AKS control plane.
Moved off the worker nodes.
Exactly. Off your worker nodes and onto the managed control plane. The benefits are pretty clear. Better security posture because there's less surface area on your nodes.
Makes sense.
Simplified networking too, since the extensions don't need that direct outbound access from your nodes anymore. And, well, less operational overhead for you. It's a cleaner architecture.
Definitely sounds like a win.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned needing to take action. Are there migration things happening that people need to know about?
Yes, this is a big heads up for a lot of folks. There's a new CLI command in public preview for migrating from availability sets and the basic load balancer on AKS.
The older stuff.
Right. And the crucial part is that availability sets and the basic LB are being deprecated. The date is September 30th, 2025.
Okay, that's coming up relatively soon in cloud terms.
It is. So this new CLI command is meant to give you an automatic migration path, moving those older clusters onto the newer virtual machine scale set-based node pools. If you're still using availability sets or basic LB in AKS, you need to look at this soon.
Got it. Firm deadline, clear action item. What about keeping things stable during upgrades? Cluster upgrades can be tricky.
Yeah, they can be. So also in public preview, there's support for specifying max blocked nodes allowed in AKS during upgrades.
Blocked nodes, like nodes that won't drain properly.
Exactly. Sometimes a node just won't drain gracefully. This lets you set a tolerance level, like, okay, I can handle maybe one node failing to drain, but not more. It gives you more control, especially for critical workloads where you really need stability during those maintenance windows. It works with another property called undrainable node behavior.
Interesting control mechanism there. Okay, let's shift gears slightly from AKS to serverless. What's happening with durable functions?
Right. For PowerShell developers using durable functions, the PowerShell SDK is now generally available as a standalone module.
Standalone?
Yeah, meaning it's decoupled, easier to manage dependencies. And this is now the recommended way to build durable functions if you're using PowerShell.
Okay, good to know for the PowerShell crowd. Now, durable functions often involve long-running processes. What about changing the logic mid-flight? That's always been a challenge.
The versioning problem. Well, there's a public preview for orchestration, versioning for durable functions, and the durable task SDKs.
Versioning, finally. How does that work?
Basically, think about those complex orchestrations, like order processing that takes days. If you needed to update a step, you risk breaking instances that were already running.
Right, a major headache.
This versioning support aims to solve that. It lets you evolve your orchestration logic, deploy updates, without disrupting those critical long-running tasks that are already in progress. It's a pretty big deal for managing those workflows.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly useful. And one more on functions, Kafka integration.
Yes. Also in public preview, Azure Functions Kafka trigger support is now available on the consumption plan.
Consumption plan, that's key for cost.
Exactly. So now you can have your functions react to messages coming from Kafka topics in real time, or even write back to Kafka, all on that pay-as-you-go, cost-efficient plan. Opens up a lot of possibilities for event-driven stuff without needing a dedicated app service plan.
Okay, so quite a bit happening across compute, from orchestrating containers to serverless eventing. Now, all these apps need data. What's new on the data, storage, and analytics side?
All right, starting with storage for VMs, we now have general availability for GRS and CRR support for Azure VMs that are using Premium SSD v2. This is specifically available now in Norway and Japan regions, expanding the previous availability.
Premium SSD v2, remind us the benefits there.
Right, so Premium SSD v2 gives you that high-performance, low-latency, sub-millisecond high IOPS, good throughput, but at a relatively low cost compared to, say, Ultra disks.
Okay, and now GRS and CRR on top.
Yep. Geo-redundant storage and cross-region restore. So better data protection against regional failures and ability to restore your VMs to another region if needed. Crucial for
Definitely important for critical systems.
Yeah.
What about accessing blob storage differently? I saw something about NFS.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's in public preview. AZ NFS version 3.0 for Blob NFS with ES support.
Okay, unpack that a bit. Blob NFS.
So Azure Blob Storage can now natively speak the NFS v3 protocol. You access it using the standard Linux NFS client, but with a helper tool called AZ NFS.
Why is that useful?
Think about lifting and shifting older Linux apps that rely heavily on NFS shares, or maybe high-performance computing scenarios needing POSIX compliance. Now you can point them directly at scalable blob storage using NFS without needing intermediate file servers. It could really simplify some architectures.
Interesting. And database availability expanding geographically.
Quick one here, but important for regional presence. Azure Database for PostgreSQL Flexible Server is now generally available in the Indonesia Central region, just expanding the global footprint.
Good to see. Now, Microsoft Fabric, that's been getting a lot of buzz. How is it integrating with other Azure data services this week?
Yeah, Fabric is all about that unified data story. Two big updates here. First, GA for mirroring Azure Databricks Unity Catalog to Microsoft OneLake in Fabric.
Mirroring Databricks. So no ETL.
Essentially, yeah. It's a secure, performant way to get near real-time access to your Databricks tables directly within the Fabric environment in OneLake. It really helps connect your operational data in Databricks with the analytics tools in Fabric.
Okay, breaking down silos, what about Cosmos DB?
Following that same theme, there's a public preview of Cosmos DB integration directly within Microsoft Fabric.
So bringing Cosmos DB data into OneLake too.
Exactly. The idea is to unify that operational data from Cosmos DB with your analytics in OneLake. You'll be able to use, real-time intelligence, Power BI with Copilot, run SQL queries directly against that Cosmos data within Fabric, again, avoiding having to stitch separate services together.
That sounds like a powerful integration, making real-time data more accessible for analytics. Anything else on the data front? Maybe resilience for messaging?
Yes, for Event Hubs. Geo-Replication for Azure Event Hubs Premium and dedicated tiers is now generally available.
Geo-replication for Event Hubs. So cross-region failover.
Pretty much. It helps protect your event streaming applications against regional outages or disasters. Essential for business continuity if you rely heavily on Event Hubs for critical data streams.
Makes sense. Okay, solid updates across the data landscape. Let's pivot to security and networking. How's Azure helping fortify environments and streamline network configs?
Starting with something practical, cost optimization for security logs. Azure Firewall now supports ingestion-time transformation and log analytics. This is GA.
Ingestion-time transformation, meaning you can filter logs before they hit log analytics storage.
Exactly. You can set up rules to selectively keep only the firewall log data you really need, or filter out noisy, less critical entries before you pay to ingest and store them. It could lead to significant cost savings on your log analytics bill.
That sounds immediately useful for anyone running Azure Firewall at scale. What about top-tier hardware-level security?
For organizations with really stringent requirements, Microsoft Azure Cloud HSM is now generally available.
Cloud HSM, hardware security module in the cloud.
Yep. Think FIPS 143 Level 3 compliance. That's a very high bar for cryptographic hardware security. It's highly available, single tenant, meaning the hardware is dedicated just to you.
And full control.
Full administrative control over the HSMs. It's designed for those use cases needing the absolute highest level of security and compliance for managing cryptographic keys.
Okay, that's definitely for specific high security needs. Shifting to networking. Simplifying express route.
There's a new model generally available called the Hosted on Behalf of, or HBO, Public IP model for express route gateways.
HBO IT model, what does that simplify?
It basically removes the need for you to explicitly create and assign a public IP address when you deploy a new express route gateway. Azure handles it behind the scenes. It just streamlines the deployment process a bit, removing one common configuration step.
Little things that make life easier. Yeah. And finally, in this section, backups for secure VMs.
Right. Trusted launch VMs are becoming the default for better security during boot. Now, Azure Backup standard policies fully support these trusted launch VMs. This is GA.
So seamless backups for these more secure VMs.
Exactly. It just ensures that as you adopt trusted launch, your backup policies and any automation you have built around them continue to work without issues. Ensures continuity.
Okay, good alignment there. We've covered a lot of new features and enhancements. Now let's talk about the flip side retirements and changes that require, immediate attention. These are crucial.
Absolutely critical. First one is a big heads up for HT Insight users. The Enterprise Security Package, or ESP, for Azure HT Insight is being retired.
Retired? What's the timeline?
Support ends July 31st, 2026. That might sound far off, but the implications are serious.
What happens after that date?
Clusters still running ESP on HT Insight after that date could face service disruptions, potential deletion, and yes, associated data loss.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't optional. If you use HT Insight with ESP, you must migrate off it.
Correct. This requires a migration plan, starting now, to avoid major business impact down the line. It's a critical action item.
Definitely noted. What else is on the retirement list that people need to act on?
Another important one affects older CDN and front door services, specifically Azure Front Door Classic and Azure CDN from Microsoft Classic SKU.
The classic versions? What's changing?
Two main things, both kicking in around August 15th, 2025. First, you won't be able to create new profiles or onboard new custom domains using these classic services after that date.
Okay, so no new deployments on Classic after August next year.
Right. And second, tied to that, DigiCert is deprecating CNAME-based domain control validation, or DCV. That's a common way people prove domain ownership for TLS SSL certificates.
So certificate validation might break or need changing?
Potentially, yes. If you're using CNAME validation with these classic services, you'll need to review your setup. And certainly, any plans for adding new domains to Classic Front Door or CDN need to be reevaluated, likely moving to the newer Azure Front Door Standard Premium tiers.
Okay, so another one requiring review and planning, especially around domain management and certificates for those classic services.
Definitely. It needs looking into if you're using those specific classic SKUs.
All right. So wrapping up this week's deep dive, what's the big picture here? What's the main thread connecting these updates?
Well, I think the overarching theme is really Azure's relentless push on improving performance, security, and operational efficiency, and deeper integration, too.
Yeah, especially clear in those AKS data and security updates.
Exactly. A lot of these changes are about simplifying management for you, providing more robust, often more cost-effective solutions, shifting more of that operational burden onto the Azure platform itself so you can focus more on your applications and innovation.
Makes sense. So for you listening, here's something to think about. We see these updates rolling out week after week. They might seem incremental, right? A feature here, a preview there. But how might understanding these changes, these weekly steps, actually add up? How could leveraging, say, more efficient AKS node management or that tighter Fabric integration or even just saving costs on firewall logs, how could these things collectively give your projects a real competitive edge or significant operational gains down the road?
It's that cumulative effect.
Exactly. Consider how these incremental improvements stack up over time. What possibilities do they open up for building better, faster, more resilient applications? Something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.